Hey everybody, today I'm talking about Nidavellir, which is a 2 to 5 player board game. It takes about 45 minutes to play. Now the idea of the game is that you're trying to collect lots of different dwarves. Those dwarves give you points in lots of different ways, and you win those cards by bidding on them. However, there's quite a few interesting twists to this game, which makes it a bit different to a lot of these other kind of bidding games. So as I said, the objective of the game is to score victory points based on those dwarves. And basically the setup of the game is going to be that there's going to be a number of dwarves allocated to different taverns in the game. There's going to be 3 different taverns. And a number of cards is going to be allocated to those taverns based on the player count. So, for example, in a 3-player game, there's going to be 3 cards. In a 4-player game, there's going to be 4 cards in each tavern, and so on. Except in a 2-player game, I think there's 3 cards in each tavern. And then every player is going to start with a basic hand of currency tokens. There's going to be a 0, a 2, 3, 4, and a 5, I believe. And you are going to simultaneously allocate those bidding tokens to the different taverns, depending on the card you want. Obviously, the higher the bid, you're going to get priority on drafting the card you want. However, there's one of the first twists of the game is that the 2 tokens that you choose not to bid with, because obviously you're only using 3 out of the 5 you have, are going to be kind of sacrificed, and the higher of those 2 tokens you've kind of separated or put to the side is going to get replaced with the combined value of the 2. So for example, if I bid I use my 0 token, my 2 and my 3 token, and I leave my 4 and 5 tokens separate, then I'm going to replace the 5 with a 9 token to give me a lot more power in the future rounds, which can be really important. So I love that trade-off of whether I'm going to sacrifice my bidding power now in order to be more powerful in the future turns, which is really nice. The dwarves score in lots of different ways, and there's 5 different suits. A couple of them score based on the kind of multipliers on how many you have. For example, if you have, I think one says like, you score 1 point and then you add 2 to that, then you add 3 to that, and add 4 to that, and add 5 to that, so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Some of them are to score based on, again, how many you have. Some of them add the amount of points to your highest bid token at the end of the game, but only if you have the most of that type of card. Some of them add or times the number of points based on the number of ranks you've got of that card. And some of them just give you pure victory points. So there's going to be a lot of points in this game, that throws a lot of points at you, and you're going to be scoring in the hundreds. So again, a lot of victory points to be had. But another twist of the game is that not only are you trying to kind of, tunnel vision your points or your kind of point resources based on the particular types of cards, because obviously you want to focus on those particular types to get the bigger multipliers, you also get rewarded on keeping your kind of ranks equal. So if you have 1 of each type of card, you'll get rewarded. And then if you have 2 of each type of card, you get rewarded. And those rewards are based on drafting these kind of these more powerful dwarves. And they can kind of give you lots of or really powerful abilities, such as completing more ranks, which can give you those big amount of points. They can give you more powerful token upgrades. They can give you, or you can even choose to bid a whole new type of set of card or type of dwarf, which can give you lots and lots of points. So there's lots of things to focus on, and you're not only rewarded for doing one thing, but you're also rewarded to take that more balanced strategy. So I do like that. Additionally, the first round of the game works a bit differently, because when that first kind of a lot of dwarves are taken, then you are going to get permanent rewards based on who had the most type of a certain type of dwarf. So that's a really cool kind of milestone ability where you are given a reward based on your initial strategy. So for example, if you have a certain type of dwarf, then you are going to always break ties, or you're going to get given a more powerful chip, or stuff like that. So there's lots of different things to do, and I do really like that diversity of different routes you can go down, lots of different strategies you can take and things you can focus on, which is really nice. But mechanically, the game is very, very simple. It's very punchy, and the rounds do go by really quickly, because all you're doing is allocating those different tokens, and taking your dwarfs based on the kind of priority on who's bid the most. So it's a very smooth game. That trade-off of what bids you're going to sacrifice is very important. Which type of dwarf you're going to really focus on to get the most points while still being as balanced as you can. So lots of things to weigh up and consider when drafting the dwarfs that you want. So I really do like the mechanisms. It's still very familiar. I love the simultaneous selection of it, because you don't know what other people are going to bid, and obviously that tie-break token is going to be very, very important if you both bid the same. So yeah, mechanically very smooth, very simple, but still enough going on and lots to focus on in terms of decisions to make, which is very, very nice. Time investment wise as well is fantastic. I mean, this game only takes about half an hour to 45 minutes to play, which is great considering the considering what's going on in the game. There's a lot to think about, but it doesn't outstay its welcome at all. It's punchy, it's quick, there's not much downtime at all, so that's really nice. And you can also kind of time things to be quite efficient in terms of getting all those powerful Lord cards, because one card might let you take a Lord card, and that will kind of fill up a few more ranks, which you can take another few Lord cards as well at the same time. So that kind of the order, the way, or the kind of the timing and the way you do things is quite important as well to get priority on the cards you want, because everybody is drafting from the same pool of Lord cards and from the same pool of common cards. So that's really cool. Replayability wise as well is decent, because again, you're not always going to get the cards you want, which might force you to take different strategies, force you to focus on different types of dwarves, which is cool. Again, all the different Lord cards as well, they're going to be taken at different times based on the strategy you're adopting. Interaction wise, I really do like the interaction in this game, because again, it's a bidding game. I think simultaneous games simultaneous selection games tend to do well with player interaction anyway, because you've got to get into the mind of your opponent. You're going to get frustrated when you use your big token, but somebody just trumps you slightly and you are knocked down to the card that you really don't want at all. So yeah, that tension of what you're going to bid to where you're going to allocate your tokens is really good. The aesthetics of the game is probably one of my negatives of the game. I'm not overly keen on the way the game looks. I think the artwork on the game is somewhat unpolished. It almost looks somewhat amateurish. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but considering how accessible the game is, I think the artwork does it a bit of a disservice, because I think if it was a bit more vibrant, a bit more inviting, then I think that could attract a lot more eyes on the product. And it almost seems like almost kind of a prototype type of art, which I'm not massively keen on. Don't get me wrong, I don't dislike it, but I just think it could be a lot better. However, the component quality is really good. Card quality is top notch. The game gives you this really cool rack which displays all the different bidding tokens, which is cool. Almost like an unneeded touch, but it's nice that they've gone that extra mile. And the player boards are really good, nice and clear. What you're gonna, how many ranks you have of each card, how many points you're going to be scoring. The tavern kind of symbols are really good and bright. So yeah, I love all the components are really good quality. They also give you card stands as well, which is very nice. Just those extra touches are really good, but the artwork itself is something that could be improved upon. Again, the theme of the game somewhat ties into that. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but why not? Dwarves, I suppose it's fine. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Ultimately, it's just a set collection game, which could have been anything really. Setup and teardown time is okay. I mean, it's not bad. Obviously, you're going to allocate the different cards to the different taverns. Setting up all the original tokens on that rack is somewhat tedious, but nothing too bad. And I'm being a bit nitpicky. The progression of the game is very good. This is what I really like about it, because you do feel like you're getting a lot of points as the game goes on, as you're filling up more and more ranks, as your lowest tokens are getting more powerful, so you're constantly improving your bidding power. You're constantly filling those ranks up to get new Lord cards, and so on. So there's a lot you can do, and it does feel like the game ramps up and it doesn't feel static. So you're not just treading water, you constantly feel like you're going forward and really getting those multipliers up and up and up. Scalability wise as well is really good, considering it's a bidding game. They normally don't work too well at the lower player counts, but in this one I think it works quite well indeed. Particularly, I mean, my sweet spot would always be the 3 and 4 player mark, but 2-player works surprisingly well for an auction style game or a bidding style game, which again is not always the case. The game, in a 2-player game, it does say to put 3 cards in each tavern, which I personally would choose to put 2 in it. It just makes that a bit more, that tension, a bit more weight to the bids you're putting on, because if you don't win that bid, you're going to get shafted with something you probably don't want. Whereas with 3 cards, it's quite forgiving, and you can always kind of take quite a good compromise. And comparison-wise, I mean, there is a lot of bidding games, there's a lot of simultaneous selection games, a lot of set collection games, but this one just mixes those things very nicely. It does somewhat remind me of Ra, it somewhat reminds me of games like Museum, and you know, all those simultaneous selection games, but the way that it comes together, and particularly that trade-off of the bidding tokens that you don't use combined together to give you a new bidding, more powerful bidding token, is what makes this game its own game and makes it feel very unique and different to everything else. I love the huge amount of points it gives at the end of the game. It just feels like you're getting loads and loads of points, and even if you don't win, you know, you feel like you've done a lot. So I do like that, but yeah, overall, this game is really good. I mean, I'm so impressed with this one. It seemed to come out of nowhere. It's starting to get a little bit of buzz, and I can really see this one. You know, if it gets a bit of wind under itself, it starts to get that kind of good word of mouth, then this one is really going to take off. It just has that great balance of being familiar but still fresh, a very low rules overhead, but still has enough meat on the bones to keep you interested. So it's got that real sweet spot that's very popular amongst gamers or board gamers, you know, that kind of Quack's-Quedlinburg level, that Wingspan level. I think this one could be that next big thing in that bracket of games, which tends to do very well in the kind of Kennerspiel, you know, circuit. And yeah, this one, as I said, if it takes off as it could do, this is going to be huge. It's going to be the next big thing, and I'm pretty confident in saying that. I said I think it's a shame that the artwork might let it down slightly, and it could be a bit of an obstacle. I think if this was more bright and inviting, then the sky really is the limit for this one. But yeah, a really solid game, one that I'll happily play again and again and again. Stay in the collection, it's just great fun, and I'm looking forward to playing with lots and lots of players, all the different player accounts, and trying lots of different things as well, you know, trying all the different Lord cards you can take and stuff like that. So yeah, a very fun game, and a good one that's going to be a big hit. So that's Nidavellir. It gets a very good rating from me. It's still somewhat lighter than my normal kind of cup of tea, but again, there's nothing negative about it. It's just a really fun experience, and that niche of games is just always going to be popular. So if you have enjoyed this review, please hit like and subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.